freely, no ceiling, no roof. Going deep with no stones to entangle my roots like they do.
Waking up tired and waiting for the horizon to appear. Remind me this work is all for love again. Looking ahead, I see hope in the sky. Give me access and I won't be denied. I won't let go, just hold tight to my hand. The world that we knew would return here. Living my dream without noise.
You're the hope I with all tears.
I hate that my hands can't touch you. My arms are so hold to the memories and dreams. Know in my heart that I won't let go. Memories every day, hard to beat, unafraid. Everything is not the same no more. Policies stay the same. They should be ashamed. They should try to hide their pain. There is a life that I'm chasing in life. It won't be put out, thankful I'm alive. Ready or not, I will rise to a brighter day. A world without wars that divide us. Grateful for all of
The International Festival of Arts and Ideas is created and produced on the traditional lands of the Mohegan, Mashantucket Pequot, Eastern Pequot, Schaghticoke, Golden Hill Paugussett, Niantic, and the Quinnipiac, in the land we all call home, Connecticut. We hope that from wherever you are, you take a moment to acknowledge and honor the native people whose land you are on and the history of the place you are in.
The International Festival of Arts and Ideas stands in solidarity with Black and Brown communities and other groups who are targeted and abused by unjust systems of oppression. We support all movements working to decenter white voices and dismantle white supremacy. We are actively seeking to dismantle systemic racism, and we raise our voices with those in our community who are already engaged in this vital work. We commit to working alongside you to create transformative change in New Haven and in our global community.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today for this wonderful ideas conversation. This is the year of Imagine, where we explore things from the past, the present, and today. And today's topic, we're talking about hair. We're talking about the crowning glory and the art of hair. And so I'm extremely excited to be with you guys today. And this series is made possible by our partners from the Connecticut Humanities, Connecticut Public, and our viewers just like you. And I don't want to go forward without introducing myself. My name is Malakhi Eason. I am the Programming Director and Community Impact Director. And I'm just happy to be a part of the festival and to start this conversation with some wonderful partners that we have been building over the last few months. So we have a lot of ground to cover and we have a lot of things to talk about today. So let me go ahead and introduce people who are talking. And if you have questions, feel free to put those questions inside any chat box, whatever platform you are watching this program on, and we would love to get to those things maybe in between conversations, but for sure at the end of the conversation. So first, let me introduce one of our good friends to the festival who will be there tonight with us on the green and helping me host our hair show tonight that starts at 5 on the New Haven Green. That is Miss Pabs, who's a wonderful radio host, and she is going to give us some great insight today on hair. Can you just say hi to everybody out there?
Hi, everybody out there.
Also, we have on our panel our representative, Miss Robin Porter. So hello.
Hey.
And then we have this wonderful woman who I met going to the hair store to buy some gel for my hair. And we sparked up a conversation, and she just is so knowledgeable about hair and business and the African-American community. Can I put your hands together or snaps or fingers together for Miss Mel? Hi, Miss Mel.
Hello.
Yeah, I love her. We also have all the way from Omaha, Nebraska. This woman has traveled all over the world to do art, to speak, to do poetry, and she's just a woman of the earth. I love this woman. Her name is With Love Felicia.
Peace and blessings, everyone. It is good to be here in this space and time.
Great. That's so nice. And last and not least, we have a wonderful duo located in Bridgeport, Connecticut, both who are hair educators, along with hair care knowledge, people with knowledge. Put your hands together or fingers for Miss Tammy Parker and Corey Parker. And the interesting thing about them both is that it's a mother-son duo. Hi, guys.
Hello, everybody.
You look so good. All right, so let's not waste another minute and let's get started on this conversation. So before we go into direct questions, I want to make sure I ask everybody on this chat one major question. And that major question is, what is your connection to hair? And why is hair an art? So I'm going to go ahead and call, right? Babs, I see you smiling. How can you answer that for me?
I think my connection to hair as art, or hair is art, because it really is one of the best ways to have your own personal expression, your own personal style. And as we know, hair is often political. Our hair, Black hair, is often always politicized. And so we've used our hair to make statements. We've used our hair to show our beauty. We've used our hair to be rebellious. We've used our hair to be acceptable in corporate America. So our hair has really become its own entity, almost separate and apart from our own bodies. So our hair has its own life, its own depth, its own grace, its own celebration. So that's my connection to it. Like I understand all of those things when I walk out my door with whatever I'm wearing, whether it's a wig or a weave or whatever, or bald like I'm wearing, or very short now. So yeah, that's it.
That's great. You know what? Y'all could just jump in whatever the spirit leads.
I will say that hair for me is a very defining thing, right? I am not my hair, but I am my hair, if that makes sense. Whatever color I choose to wear, it's usually on my head. Right? I'm a big fan of hair in general, and it being of course with Babs, and kind of piggybacking, it being something that you use to express yourself. You know, I love my hair and I love to showcase it. So why not do it in different ways? That's my take on it.
Mm-hmm.
I myself love the beauty of hair. I like to bring out that beauty in other people, and I like actually meeting people when I'm doing the hair. So for me, the hair it's all about you. So whatever you feel, whatever your beauty is, I like to bring that out. I really do, and I love hair. Hair is me.
Okay.
What about you, Felicia? How do you feel? What's your
You know,
connection?
can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Well, when you asked us that question, I went to use my creative gifting tool to explain it. And so I'm going to share it now. Have you ever considered the power in your black hair? An antenna connecting you to the ancestors, the creator, the source of all that is divinely unique and beautiful, who grants you the freedom of expression in infinite possibilities. A royal crown to celebrate the spirit of your roots, the art of hair, the art of us. Thank you.
Ooh, girl.
Ooh.
My goodness, I just go on and follow you. You
Awesome.
touched something. You touched a chord in me. I
Come
think
on.
the deepest connection to here was my grandmother, aka my Nana Puddin. She was a domestic worker and beautician by trade, and our first beautician. And I see it here as art because I can remember distinctly, the press and curl and the ribbons, and like we were taught to iron, and one of the first things we were taught to iron were our hair ribbons. And the way that she would adorn our hair when we were little, we always stood out. She always made sure that we were put together. And that putting together started with our crowning glory, right? That's where it began, from the crown of your head to the soles of your feet. Grandma said you had to be put together. And I do so relate to all that's been said. It definitely is a way of expression. And if you think about the history of hair, and when I talk about history, I'm talking about straight out of Africa. It was a way for us to identify someone's social status based on their ethnicity, social rank, age, marital status, wealth, fertility, manhood, religion, and debt. Okay, I said debt. Wow, there was a way you could wear your hair that would tell people you were in debt. And due to sometimes taking hours, we all know how long we've sat in the beauty parlor, and sometimes days, right? When we go back to Africa and think about how intimately they connected with these hairstyles, it would take days. So it was a way of like socially bonding and building relationships. And when I say that, there's one hairstylist in particular that comes to mind because her shop is where we do those kind of things pre-COVID, and looking forward to getting back to that. But here's Kay, my girl Karain, right here in New Haven. It is socially, culturally, where we build community, where we seek counsel, where we seek guidance, where we go to unload. Like, hair is everything. I am my hair.
That's right. Come on.
Come on, Robin. Miss Mel.
Yes. When I think about the hair, I think about back in the day when my moms used to press our hair, curl our hair, put our ribbons on our hair. And I think it has the connection with people to just associate and to make conversation, engage in different textures and hairstyles and things of that sort. I think that with me, that it has been a journey that we can be whatever we want with our hair, colors, style, and whatever. That's it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Miss Mel. I'll say, I have so many questions, but I know I just want to answer this a little bit. For sure, I connect with hair because I'm a man who wears locks, and my locks are not just black; they're all kinds of shades of browns and blondes, right? And throughout my life, I've had plenty of hairstyles, probably to a point to where I cannot even count, but I can say that the emotion behind every style that I had, every change came through a period in my life. And it came through an emotion in my life. And it's very interesting to see how hair for me was not just a way of expressing who I am as an individual. I had high points of overly expressing. I think we've all have. And then I had some points where things were just mellow. So I think that hair is more than what people think as a routine to make sure they look nice, but I think it's more spiritually connected. So I want to have a moment with everybody, and I would love to know your fondest memory emotionally with hair, and I can speak up first. I remember when, and this might connect with my homegirl Robin, because we're homegirls now. We've been talking for like the last few hours, so we homegirls and homeboys. Okay, so I remember when I was introduced. I was asked to do a job, and um, now this is not a negative spin. This is a learning for me, right? So this is a learning moment. I remember that I was told, Malachi, you'd be great for this job, but there's just one thing, man. You're. I don't know if you fit in, visually. And visually at that time, my hair was still the same length as it is now, but it was like to my butt, and it was all black, and it was not what the environment looked like. I did not, I did not represent what that environment looked like, and I had a choice, and I had just moved to a state, and I was very aware that I was completely different than a lot of people in that area. And I see Felicia shaking her head because you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I ended up cutting my hair. And as I grew in who I was as an individual, I realized that one, that was not the right choice for me. I did something that I was not okay with. And it brought me into a place of feeling like I was not worthy, and also that I was not a person who was to fit in. But as I continued to grow my strength, who I was as an individual, I realized that hair does not define my degrees. Hair does not define my personality and my love and my ability to do my job. So my learning lesson through that was, Malachi, if they can't accept you for who you are for your entirety, then you should not even want to be a part of that. Have you guys ever had experiences in your life where hair definitely was a part of your defining moments? And not everybody needs to share on the topic, but if you have something that connects, I would love to hear that.
I mean, I think that has always been, when I went to college in the 80s, and I went to a historically Black college, there were definite conversations about what was acceptable corporate look or interview look. And natural hair was not part of that conversation. It just wasn't. And so
Can you
I like,
explain now, real quick? Can you explain natural hair and the opposite of natural hair? Because
well, I mean,
everybody may
natural
not know
hair,
what that means.
like my hair is in its natural state now, right? Like when no chemicals whatsoever. It's not permed, it's not a jerry curl, it's not wavy, it's not any of those kinds of things. And so in those days, the prevailing look was to perm your hair straight and then either wear a bob or bangs or some kind of done up kind of hairdo, whatever the hairdo of the day was. That was acceptable. Braids were not acceptable. Like you could not wear braids. You could not wear cornrows. You couldn't even really wear curly hair. Like women have natural, you see sisters wearing their hair curly. No, the prevailing look was some sort of pressed, straightened, acceptable look. And that went on up until, I guess, in the last several years, where we're starting to see women embrace their natural hair. You see women in the workplace with braids. You see women changing their hair with weaves and wigs. That was not the case when I was a young woman coming into the work world. There was only one way, and it was straight. And no color. You couldn't play around with color either, right? Like you couldn't show up on your job with blonde hair or red hair or green hair or blue hair or purple hair. I mean, it was just unacceptable. So we've come a long way, but up until that point, that was the prevailing look. And for sisters, and Black men too. Black men couldn't get away with wearing dreadlocks. They couldn't get away with wearing braids. You see young brothers now with all manner of hairstyles that would not have been acceptable, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's so fast. I mean, like the prerequisite was definitely what we call good hair.
Yes.
And it was the prerequisite for jobs, for entering certain schools, churches, and even social groups. Like this became the norm for us. And it strikes a chord with me because my grandmother, as I stated, was a beautician. And she did not like when I wore my hair natural. She didn't like for it to be curly. She didn't, and God forbid I pick it out in an afro. Oh my goodness, what are you doing? Where are you going looking like that?
Mhm.
So it was about the straight look, and it was about conforming, and that is pretty much the life that Black women have had to live in this skin, straight across the board, but in particular with our hair. And I'll start with a recent memory. When I got elected back in 2014, I tell this story often. You, Babs, I've done all kind of stuff with this crown. And I would go from braids, I go to twist, I'd go to the afro, I'd go to the Dominicans and get it blown out, and it'd be straight and bouncy and pretty. So there was different ways that I was wearing my hair. And when I got sworn in, it was curly. I had decided to just, wet it, let it dry, and just do what it do. And I can remember the first person that said something to me was actually a sister, a Black woman, said, you might want to settle on, how you going to wear your hair, because people aren't going to know you if you keep changing your hair up like that. Maybe you want to straighten it out and just, that nice bounce you have. And I'm like, no, I'm sorry. I am my hair, but it also means that however I'm feeling, whatever I'm representing, some days I go in there with my afro because that's what I'm feeling on that day. I'm coming to do that kind of work today. Other days I feel a little more relaxed, and I might fall back and wear the curls. So that was a shocker in 2014, realizing that people were still critiquing you based on how you wore your hair. And when you show up in these spaces, people are already judging your confidence, your intelligence, your attractiveness, your self-centeredness around the way you're wearing your hair and how you're expressing your crown. And being the woman and the child that I've always been, I refuse to conform. So I still do what I do with my crown. And then the other thing that was interesting to me was when my daughter was in school in Wallingford, she was in the ACES program. And look, we talked about these things. She wore cornrows, she wore beads, she wore Afro puffs, she wore an afro. And she was the only Black kid in the school. We were the only Black family when she first started out there. And she was under a lot of pressure to get a perm. And I tried to convince her that that was not the way to go. But when I saw it was traumatizing her, like she was having some issues around showing up authentically. So I did let her, straighten her hair. And I'm glad to say in the 8th grade, she decided, you know what, mommy, I want to go back to my natural hair. And she had hair down her back. And she cut her hair about 2-3 inches to the new growth and started all over with natural hair as a freshman in high school. So there is the pressures to conform and to, fit in. But I always say, it ain't about fitting in because you can force a fit. You need to get in where you belong. And you belong just how you decide to show up authentically.
Come on now. Ooh, I have to lean in on that one, Representative Rob. So I am from the Midwest, as Malakhi mentioned before, and part of my personal journey was to learn about the history of who we be as a people. I started really young, 15, 16. I was reading all kinds of books on the history and journey of who we are and what we contributed not only to America, but the planet. And along that journey, I also studied Rastafarianism and so forth and so on. And so at that time for me, I was like, I just need my hair to go natural. I just need to let it be free. Like God has given it to me. And when I chose to do that, sad and unfortunate, just like Representative Robin has mentioned, and Babs, many of our people looked at me and was like, girl, what you doing? Why you wearing your hair nappy? Ooh, you cute, but your hair is nappy. I heard all kinds of things, and it was hurtful, painful. It was disappointing. It made me sad. I questioned myself sometime, but I knew without a doubt that this was the journey I wanted to take. And so in 1991, when I locked my hair, I just said, this is who I am and this is who I be. And it caused a lot of questions. People who talked about my hair back then wearing naturals now. But what I have come to realize by the grace of the Most High is that we all come into knowledge, wisdom, and understanding when we're ready. They weren't ready then, but I was. And I had no shame in being who I was authentically and proudly. The blessing, though, in my journey was that I ended up moving to the East Coast where I saw natural hairstyles, where brothers and sisters were wearing natural hair and rocking their crowns in glory. And it was praised from head wraps to twists to afros to shaved on the side, finger waves, you name it. Like we are such an incredible and beautiful people. We have laid the foundation for Black culture, but culture throughout the entire planet. Everybody wants to be like us, except take the experience of who we be. And my journey, again, just like the stories I have heard, was sad, but I understood. I understood the psychological ramifications of slavery. I understood how white global domination had set a precedence in our people so that we would hate ourselves instead of loving ourselves in all of our glory. And so I am grateful to be here in this space and time on this beautiful Juneteenth that is now across the planet, right, as a national holiday, where national hair acts have been passed so we can show up as beautiful and bold as we want to be, because the truth is we always set the beauty standards. We were conforming to look like other people who were constantly trying to look like us. And I give thanks that we can be here today, fully present with God's glory and creativity all over us. I am complete.
Yes, thank you, Felicia. I don't know if did you just talk like, I don't know. You just give me like, everything's like a poem. It's great.
I know.
That was wonderful. You naturally, just natural, but I appreciate that. You touched on a lot of stuff. I want to, so Miss Tammy and Mr. Parker, I want to know exactly on your end as being stylists, in knowing the trends and how things change, and quite sure learning new techniques and things like that. What have you found to be most beneficial in your practicing when people are transitioning out of one stage in their hair journey to the next stage in the hair journey? Now, is it just a technique thing, or does it come along with a conversation? I can imagine as a hairstylist, like your job is more than just the technical part, right? And so when you're doing the therapy part, because I'm quite sure y'all all can identify, you have a hairstylist. It's not like you just go in there to get your hair done, honey. Let me tell you what my husband did. Let me tell you about what happened last night. This girl, it's a full therapy session. I can imagine how that would be. So I would love to get from the hairstylist in the room, like, what is that transition from one part of their hair journey to the next part of the hair journey? What does that conversation look like, and how do you help people out with that?
So for me, I get a lot of people like I always tell my clients, they'll come in, we don't want to burden you with all of our issues of our life journey and all this. So what I usually do is I say, okay, I said I'm a hairstylist, yes, but I'm also that person that can encourage you too while you're sitting in my chair. And then I always explain to them, like, my thing is to make you feel beautiful inside and out. So what I generally do is say, okay, we're hair therapists, yes. And we're psychiatrists and another aspect of it too. So I say to them, okay, you can vent to me, and 9 times out of 10, I'm doing the hair, I'm focusing on what I'm doing. It's a place to unwind and let them just talk. And I do. And when they come back to me, I also go over and I say, oh, how did you make out? And I try to remember a lot of the events. That's important when you're talking to your actual clients, So they're going to remember you for that. So I mean, for me, I've been doing hair since '93, and I enjoy it. And when all this came about, when I'm hearing all this, I'm like, oh my God, this is something that's all new to me, right? But not so new, right? So I just recently opened my salon, and I'm like, okay, now I waited over 20 years for this, but then wasn't the time. So I'm like, okay, you know what? This is the time. So I like to sit there. I let my client unwind. I let them talk. I let them do all the talking. I don't even respond. I just let them talk, and they love that. And then on their way out, they said, "Thank you for listening." And I'm like, "No problem. It's we're here, we're therapists, right?" So, and then a lot of clients come back and they say, "You know what, thanks for a therapy session, I should be paying you more." I like that too. But I enjoy it. And the fact that I was able to start my son at a very young age and bring that into him, it was really, it did my heart really well. And to see him flourish now, I'm just so proud of him. So I mean, for me, it's all that you guys have been talking about right now.
I want to add something. I have to. So I will agree with my mom 100% in saying that clients do look to you for advice, right? They look to you uh, for that place of comfort, right? They want to share with you all the things that are going on. But one thing I've learned, and this is something that I've definitely gained from my mom as well, is keeping the client in the know as you're having those interactions, right? People want to know that you understand they're here and you understand their situation. So, not every technique or every product that you use on a client is fit for them, right? Some people may come in and they say, I want a curly cut. I'm like, do you know what a curly cut really is? And they're like, yeah, you're just going to wet
Education.
it. Right. You're going to wet
Education
it and
is
you're just going to
important.
trim it. And it's like, no, my love, not everybody's texture can do that. Not everyone can achieve that desired outcome ultimately. So yes, education at the forefront of everything that we do in every service with every client is definitely one of the forefronts for me. Okay, and then outside of that, when I am talking to that customer, yes, we can delve off, we can have that conversation, we can
Mm-hmm.
be very personable, but I always keep the actual service
Yeah,
at the focus, right? I don't want to mess up.
definitely.
I want to make sure it's correct, and I want to make sure it fits you and your desired outcome.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Miss
You're
Mel. Can you
welcome.
share with me a little bit about about what you do in your business? I've learned a little bit. I stopped by your shop yesterday, and I learned that you've been there for over 20 years. A black-owned hair store in the mix of downtown New Haven. And so I would love to hear a little bit about that and your journey with hair when it comes to that.
Oh, yes, very well. When I started that journey, that was some time ago, I worked with someone else in their beauty supply store. And 25 years ago, I decided to start my own business. And it has been very fulfilling for me. But when we're speaking of the hair, my point with the hair is that I supply my customers with the different styles and texture. Um, and it's a conversation too, because when we have people to come into our place of business, it's just not a beauty supply store, but it is mentoring with the customers, compassion. It's just so many different things because we have so many different people that come in with so many different issues. Sometimes it's not just about hair, it's about family issues, it's about children issues, it's about so many different things. And so we are able to help them with that. But being in business this year, like everyone else on the panel, I have seen such a change in hair. When I started out in this particular business, it was just basically um, wigs. And so now went from wigs and went from weaves and braiding. It has gone that far now, but it's such a tremendous trend in the hair, the style, the colors, the women, the children, men. It has been that type of a business. And not only that, when people come in, they want to ask you questions about what should I do for my hair, what can I use, what worked best for me, or whatever. And we are able to help them in that perspective. And just the conversation that we have with our customers. And when I think back to when I was a little girl, all I knew was press and curl. I didn't know any other style because I grew up in Virginia. That's what we did back in my era. But now there's so much more out there in hair. Hair is just a major thing now. And we're able to assist our customers or the salons or the barbershops or whatever in their needs, the things they need for their hair, the thing to maintain their hair. And as I said before, we're just more. That's why I always say we are beauty plus and a whole lot more,
I know that's
because
right.
we do have customer that comes in there that have so many issues. And sometimes it's not even about the hair. It's just to come in to talk or for someone to listen when they're dealing with so many different issues, especially now when the things that are going on in our world, in our society.
Thank you. So I want to make sure that we touch upon this because one thing that I'm extremely excited to have is Rev Robin Porter here. Some people may not know, but New Haven has, or Connecticut has passed the Crown Act, and when you hear that, some people may not know what that means, but this is a big deal. We are moving here in Connecticut, and it's all about the hard works by this wonderful person that we're chatting with today. I'm so special to have her here. So I would love for you to chat with the people about what is the Crown Act, the process it took to get there, and then I would love to hear all my brothers and sisters on this chat to just see if you see what your views and thoughts and your connection to the Crown Act is as well.
Yes, well, I mean, it is a big deal. Connecticut was actually the eighth state to join the states that have recognized the Crown Act in legislation and have it now in law. We were the first state to do it in 2021, and no other state thus far has joined us, but I'm definitely hopeful that that will change. For me, I want to say the emphasis, the thing that really got me started and really the fire in my belly around getting this legislation done here in the state was a video that I stumbled upon. And it was a video of a young man, Andrew Johnson. I think he was about 16 when this happened back in 2018. And he was a young wrestler, you know, he was on the wrestling team, and that's what he was doing. And in the middle of this match, you know, they told him that he was going to have to cut his locks off in order to finish the match.
Mhm.
I say they was trying to distract him because they knew he was about to whoop somebody in that match. But stop, pause, and I literally, you know, sat and wept as I watched this white woman with some scissors in her hand um, begin to cut his locks off. And it disturbed me so deeply because my son has had locks. He's since cut them. My daughter currently has locks. I know the passion and the labor that goes into maintaining and nurturing that crown. And I just really saw it as, whew, yeah. I thought it was criminal. I really did. I thought that there should have been criminal charges brought against the woman, you know, and then the visual of it, like these white men around him, you know, this white woman cutting his crown. And I said, you know what, that can never happen here in Connecticut. Even though there's been hair discrimination here in Connecticut, the level that that went to was really disturbing to me. So we began that coalition. We had Adjoa, who is actually a native New Havener from my district. How ironic is it that is leading the national charge on the Crown Act? Come and join us along with many sororities, many advocates from the community, just educating my colleagues, right? Because a lot of them, you know, my white counterparts had no idea that hair discrimination was an issue, didn't have any idea about what it was we went through when we would apply for jobs and what our children were going through, being traumatized and bullied around their hair and being made to feel less than. So we actually got the bill passed, and the bill makes it illegal to practice discrimination based on a person's hair texture and protective hairstyles in employment, public accommodations, housing, credit practices, union membership, and state agency practices. And it also, under the bill, gives description to protective hairstyles because we know it's not just about our natural hair, right? It's
Yeah.
about we protect our natural hair. So in the language for the bill that is now law, it includes wigs, head wraps, and hairstyles such as individual braids, which we call box braids, cornrows, locks, twists, bantu knots, afros and afro puffs, but it is not limited to that. And it also provides protection to those afforded under the existing human rights law under the jurisdiction of what we call here in the state of Connecticut, the Commission on Human Rights, CHRO, and that is the authority to investigate the complaint. And that is where people should go if they feel like, they are continuing to be discriminated based on the way they choose to wear their crown. And I just have to say, passing laws don't end discrimination, but they put in place recourse, right? Legal and lawful recourse for when it does happen. I think the thing that I really want to stress when I talk about this law and it being enacted since March 4th this year, we need to do education around it. So I'm just so honored, and so humbled to be here to have this opportunity to discuss, what it is, what the law entails, and what you can do if you feel you've been discriminated against, because this is something that really needs to end. It's a small step in the right direction. And I believe that as we move forward, we just continue to educate people on who we are and why our crown is our glory.
Wow, Robin, thank you so much. Just me being here in Connecticut, it just feels so good. 'Cause I think we all have experiences where, we felt a little bit uncomfortable with wearing a hair wrap or wearing our hair in a certain style, and just to know that we have some background and something to fall back on if anything were to come up. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you for sharing that. You are so appreciated, for real.
Thank you.
And if there's anything, like if there's ever if you want to do education around this, if you want to have more conversations about this, I'm here. And
Right.
I know a little something about hair, not everything, but I know a little something.
Oh, you do it. You are too with all that hair you get.
I sure do. So
I know you do.
let me know, and I'm definitely here for you, ladies and fellas. Do you have anything you want to connect? Did anything trigger anything in you?
Well,
No, go ahead.
To digress and let the elders speak, and then I will follow.
Girl, what you say?
Let me call you a sage. A sage.
I ain't ready for the elder role yet.
All right. Sage, you know what? Do I have permission to say sage? Is that okay?
Yes, sage is fine. I'm just not ready to step in the elder role yet. And that's not on you. That's not about you. That's on me.
And I want to respect
my own denial. That's all right. I think what I find interesting in that in this day and age that we have to have legislation to protect our hair, right? Like we have to have protect. And I feel like you, Robin, when I watched that young man get his hair cut, but that's not the only story. There were stories all across this country of children being assaulted with scissors.
Yes.
By teachers who felt like, I don't appreciate this hairstyle and I'm gonna cut it, and feel justified in just taking personal privilege and doing this to other people's kids. They're lucky a whole bunch of. See, they had the right parents, because some different kinds of people would have ran up in there. And it would have been a different kind of headline. I'm not advocating violence, but you know how that is. It's too many times where our children are victimized by people who think that they know better than what we know. And I remember when I was married, my husband was doing the corporate fast track, and they had said to him. Same like you, Malakhi, sort of, they didn't come right out and say, but they alluded to the fact that, his hair was a distraction to his progress. And he cut his hair and he felt some kind of way. He regretted it. He regretted it. Now he has since grown it back, right? He has since grown it back and has left the corporate fast track from and have gone in a different direction. But I remember him struggling, and this was a real conversation about, should I or shouldn't I cut my hair for upward mobility? That was a real conversation, and it was very painful. And he did it. And he realized that was not a good choice. I mean, it just wasn't a good choice. And so I'm glad to see that we are in this place where people are not making, or at least I'm hoping that people are not still making these kinds of conversations about their upward mobility and what success is based on how their hair is. I think this is an education that has to go across the board in how success is defined in this country and a lot of other places that don't value, respect, or understand Blackness, Black culture, Black people, Black being, Black thought, any of that. That we have to cut our hair, change our hair to be accepted, or to be acceptable to other folks in their efforts to promote us or to push us forward and that kind of thing. Like, it's just not true. And I'm so glad that we are in a place where we can fight back and say, no, I am my hair, but I'm not my hair.
Yeah.
Yes. I was going to chime in because I'm giving an amen 2 times to Representative Robin and Babs, because it is true. It's sad that we need legislation in order to just present ourselves in how we see ourselves. You know, we came to the planet with free will, but unfortunately, due to low vibrations and ego and canceling out a culture that set the tone for all cultures, we are sometimes anglicized by what beauty looks like. But the time has come. Change is necessary for the greatest good for us as a people and humanity, because all people should be able to show up authentically the way they see fit, as they are, in their beauty and divinity. Nebraska, as I shift, Nebraska just also passed its natural hair discrimination ban. It was a vote 3 to 4, right? And it's just time. You know, it's been a long time coming, but give thanks and praises. It is happening now. And I look forward to the other wonderful things that will happen moving forward as we are celebrated as a people, because our hair is our crown. And no matter how we wear it, it does not define how successful we are, how intelligent we are, how connected to God we are. It doesn't. Well, let me back up for just a second. It does connect to God. I'm gonna digress and say I apologize for that. No, it does show a connection to God.
Rewind.
But it doesn't identify our success.
Absolutely.
And the time is now. The time is now. And so we don't have to be radical. We don't have to be angry Black women, angry Black people, because, oh my goodness, I heard that too coming up working at some places. You know, when you wear that head wrap, it makes you look radical. People think that you're aggressive. Just because I wrap my hair. Shame on you. Shame on you.
But they forgot about when it was the law for us to wrap our hair.
Come on now.
We could not show our hair when we were enslaved people.
No, we couldn't show our hair because of what? Because of the laws that they set in place. But Master was still sneaking in trying to get some. Obviously, he saw the beauty.
And that's the case, Felicia. When you talk about it's been a long time, let's just put that in proper perspective, because Babs just hit on something really significant. Yeah. I mean, in the 1700s, free Blacks, they were wearing these eye-catching hairstyles, and I mean, you know, white men were looking, and we were getting their attention, and white women were jealous. And that's in 1789. It was the tightening laws that Babs just referred to, where Louisiana decided, you know what, y'all gonna have to put some fabric around their hair. You're gonna have to hide that because that is too appealing to, you know, these white men. And so, being forced to do that, we do what we do, right? We take stuff and make it a delicacy, right? We did the same thing with our hair. We took those we went and got us the finest fabric we could find, right? beautiful fabric. And we used it to wrap and tie our hair in all these elaborate bows. And then we put a hat on top of that.
Yes.
Couldn't tell us nothing. So what was
Nothing.
supposed to draw less attention
Outfit.
actually made us more beautiful and alluring. And you know what they did after that in the 1800s? This is what we don't talk about. It was due to our uniqueness around our hair, our skin, and our physique. They
Ooh,
created human zoos and they put us in the zoo on display.
come on.
Men, women, and children. So
Yes.
this is what we've been subjected to. So when we talk about hair discrimination, we must connect it to racial trauma, right?
Yes.
This is traumatizing. Now we have urban trauma, but this was racial trauma. And they racialized it based on the way we wore our hair, the color of our skin, and our physique, the way we were built. You know, we built. We some built people, and they put us on display. They put us on display. So
Yes, they
I
did.
think all of this has to be tied into when we talk about hair discrimination and when we educate people. We got to go back to where this thing started, so we know where we need to be going with it. And the Crown Act is a beautiful thing, and it's sad that it's necessary, but there's going to be so much more for us to do, even past this Crown Act. And I'll go back and I'll say it over and over. I think the key and the foundation is going to be education. This should unleash in us, the thing that they tried to subject. It was a form of oppression and control, and it was them rejecting our beauty and our dignity. So we have to bring dignity back to this thing and educate people on who we are and why it's important. Because if we knew our history, we would know. Certain hairstyles dictated who you were, what your social status was. Did you
Yes.
owe somebody money? Did you believe that? If you owe somebody money, there was a certain hairstyle you was wearing
Well,
back.
I need to know what that hairstyle looked like because I need to give some people some new styles. Okay. Hello.
Go ahead
I can
and
be like, you need
teach.
to start wearing this. Don't
Make
you?
some money.
Go ahead and teach. And you're right, Representative Robin. There is so much that has happened to us around our looks and in every way, shape, and form. And you talked about the freak shows, right, as they called them, with Sarah Bartman, right? They couldn't believe that she was that fine. Her body was built that way naturally. That's where waist trainers came from. Like, let's go ahead and teach the truth. Because at the time, because of our bodies and its curviness,
Yes. And the dresses with the bump on the back, those Victorian women
they made that
wearing
to
those
look like
dresses. Yes,
right.
that's
Isn't
really
it
what
funny?
that was rooted in. Yes,
That's what that was rooted in. That didn't have nothing to do with us training our waist now as we do for our own vanity. But yes, back in the day, because we was so fly and so fine, they had to figure it out.
Yeah. But we conformed, we did conform, and you had people like Garrett Morgan that said, you know what, I'm gonna create this straightener, and the whole campaign was an improve your appearance campaign because your natural look ain't good enough. Come get some of this stuff to make it straight. And the thing that I could really appreciate after that was our brother, our king, Marcus Garvey, because he said, y'all need to go back to your natural hair and aesthetic. And the quote that I love, and I often use, when I'm talking about the Crown Act, is remove the kinks from your minds, not your hair.
Come on now. Ashe.
I like that.
Ashe.
Yeah.
All right. Ooh, I could talk about this all day.
Oh yeah.
We are we're getting close to the hour. Like some preachers say, we're getting close to the hour. And I don't plan on being for you for long. So
that's the collection plate.
I will.
Literally.
Before we end out, we got a few more minutes. If there are some questions that people are asking, I know I got one question from somebody online, and I'm a guy, I'm a millennial. So there are questions that may come through my phone that I'm able to ask. I'm going to be able to ask you guys that. I have one question I want to make sure I ask. It's a really good question, and then I'll wrap it on up. So it can be said within like maybe 2 sentences or more. So how does hair show up for you as an artist or as a person in your workplace?
That is what?
How does hair show up for you as an artist or in your workplace? I consider hairstylists artists. I consider what you do, Babs, art. I consider, you get what I'm saying? Like, how does it show up for you?
Well, I think, now that I'm older, right? I don't fuss around with my hair as much. When I was a young woman, I mean, I've done every manner of hairstyle. I mean, I had a Jerry curl for God's sake. But now I just wear it very, very short, and I play around with color, right? Because I don't. I'm at the place in my life where I don't want to spend a whole lot of time thinking about my hair. I just don't. I've had long dreadlocks as long as yours, Malachi. I've had all of that. But I just find now that I don't want to think about my hair the way that I have to think about other things. And so this suits me. So if I want to be funky with it, you know what I do? I make it purple or blonde or platinum or red or whatever I feel like when I sit in Kay's chair at Hair's K. And she's like, I think this would work. And I was like, go ahead, girl, just do it.
Do it.
Those are the best clients.
Yeah, that's about it. I mean, I'm for maintenance now, more about maintenance than style. Although I still think this is quite stylish, and it takes a lot for a woman to cut her hair. Like it takes, because you didn't see Black women cutting their hair like this ever, because that was just an abomination. So the fact that we have even embraced wearing our hair this short is another plus.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, doing the work that I do, it has actually been so humbling. I always, the self-talk is to continue to walk in a spirit of humility, because I will have young girls, and I'm talking about school-age girls from elementary all the way up to college, like really run the gamut of that spectrum. And they will look at me and say, wow, like the work you do, and you can come to work with your hair like that. And it made me realize this is still a stigma with our kids. Like they are still being taught that there's a certain way you have to wear your hair in order to be accepted, a certain way you have to wear your hair in order to, get a job or be respected. And that's why I do it. I refuse to sit inside this box and conform to what other people think I should look like, because then you're going to tell me what I should feel like. And I'm not having that. So it's empowering to be able to, model through appearance, right? And to model through unapologetically, showing up in these spaces authentically, who I am and how I'm feeling on that particular day.
I find that I have people to come into my store when they are going for jobs. And even in this day and time, and even though we have gone so far with our hair issues, there are times when they go on certain jobs, they really have to come in and get a wig. They might have their hair in a ponytail, or they might have their hair in a braid. In some of the places they go, it is not acceptable. So they would have to come in, to get a wig or something to cover their hair for that particular interview that they're going out for. So there are still some issues, with the hair when you are going for a certain position and certain job. It's just not acceptable. They have their little way of letting you know, that you need to change your hair, do something different with it, because they feel that it's not acceptable in that job market or that particular job. So yeah, the stigma is still out there.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Yes, it is.
This is why we have to talk about it, and we have to educate all the way from the crib onward. Like
That's
we really
right.
need to tell these stories
Education.
and let our children know, and let people know, Miss
That's
Val.
right.
And I have to tell you, I moved to Connecticut in 2000, and I was looking for Black businesses, and that's how I first started coming to your store. And it wasn't the hair supplies that I came looking for. I was looking for Black cards. I wanted greeting cards with Black folks on them. And they said, you got to go to Beauty Plus because she has everything. So, I mean, like, when you talk about
does.
hair, yes,
Yeah.
the cards, the pocketbooks, the jewelry,
Earrings,
I mean,
chains.
everything. So that was 21 years ago this summer. I will have been native, well, not native, but relocated here to Connecticut. And I was just so pleased to see you on the show, because there's a lot of good memories for me, in your store. And just being able to come there when I can't find a Black product anywhere else, I know I can come to Beauty Plus and find what I need. So it ain't just hair products, y'all.
Yeah. And a
Yeah.
lot of time it's not hair products. Sometimes it's conversation. You'd be
Absolutely.
surprised how many people come to the store just for conversation. You know,
Yes.
just something, or somebody that look like them, or somebody that can understand their situation, or somebody that understand what they're dealing with or what they're going through. So that's why I tell people, I said, you know, we're a beauty person a whole lot more. Sometimes I would say to my sister, maybe we need to put a little sign up the door that, you know, we do counseling as well, because it's amazing how many people come in. Sometimes they don't really want anything. They just want that communication and somebody to understand what they're dealing with and what they're going through. And, you know, so we try to help them in that perspective as well.
I love it.
It's
Thank
time
you.
to undo the brainwashing and the internalizing. It's time to really set out free.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I wanted to chime in here. Thank you so much, ladies that have already gone. For me, I'm an artist, and so my hair is representative of me being able to create artistically and show up, because I do believe as an artist, you can present your way in the way that you desire to be received. And for me, it's just creative. There's no judgment on how I can look as an artist, but I'm all about the adornment, the embellishment, the decoration, the ornament, the beautification, the garnishing. And I think that's one of the beautiful things that we get to do with our hair, that we are so versatile in bringing it to life and letting it amplify in the air and on the earth. You know, we are fire and water. We are just so divine. So for me as an artist, it is that way to, again, express myself in another form. For me, when I go get my hair done, I always say I'm ready to get my hair adorned. Yeah. Not done, not did, adorned.
That's right.
It is an adornment.
I like that. I'm gonna use that.
Come on,
you and me both. That
get my hair adorned. Yeah, so it is an adornment, no matter what it looks like. We have this, opportunity to just beautify the world even more through the creativity of our hair. But even though there are people that talked about our hair or what our hair looked like, the texture, whatever. But now we're finding other culture that is coming in. They're looking for braiding hair and the different things that they condemned us for before, but now they want to be like us when it comes to the hair. The braiding, the twist. I mean, can you imagine straight hair when you're trying to do a lock or a twist? But they want these, they want this type of hair.
Yeah.
They want what is ours? Precedence. That's what they want. What is ours? We are the beauty standard. We are the people. That's right. Exactly. Yes. We are the beauty standard. From the sun to the hair to the clothes. That's right. To the
y'all got to tie on the hole because it ain't just hair.
It sure isn't. It's not. Squats are a real thing.
Hello. Parkers?
Yes. We are here.
Are you?
I am definitely actively listening. I'm loving the energy that I'm receiving from everyone, to be honest. It's just so beautiful to convene with such wonderful people, you guys all have such great spirits, and it makes me happy. It really does. And I'm on a panel with a bunch of women, and I love you. I love you. It's gorgeous. It's wonderful. It's stunning. You're all so fabulous. So I'm just happy.
How does hair show up in your world? Like, how do you express yourself with your hair in your space as an artist? So I've seen you around, and one thing that you are definitely known for in the community of entertainment and hair is the colors that you go through. I remember one particular time where
here we go.
Your mother and I warned you about bleaching your hair. You had locks, and you ended up looking like The
The
wig.
Cowardly Lion.
Yes.
Yeah, that happened.
But see, the thing about it is, in your workplace, that was still a way of you expressing who you are as a creator, right? Because you still were able to
Absolutely.
use those moments. So I'm asking you, in those moments, how does that represent you as an artist?
So I'll tell you this. Hair color for me is one of my favorite things. You're absolutely correct. And I love dyeing my hair. And I have probably ran into every mistake that you could, right, when it came to coloring your hair. So in turn, that has helped me educate my clients to the utmost degree. I will not allow them to have breakage. I will not allow them to have dry hair, only because I know what it does to your hair. What I can say though, as a stylist, because you know the limitations, right? You know that if you do that 30 volume or that 40 volume, that you could probably have a bad outcome. But you want to play, as a stylist, you're like, oh, I can fix it. I can do it. I can fix it. So that's usually my thing. I push the limits a lot when it comes to my hair. But I've learned my hair much better because of those things. What I will say is in the workplace, I like to place hair colors on my clientele that they would normally not think of. And just to kind of plug a little bit in terms of the hair show today that we're doing, if you guys are tuning in, you will see a lot of hair color from me because I just love hair color, like I said. And the models that I'm using, none of them picked their hair colors. Okay. None of them came to me with an idea. I said to them, this is what I want to do to your hair, and it's going to look great because your skin tone is this, your look is this, your aesthetic will give this, and your vibe will be beautiful. So just listen to me. And they're like, okay, Corey, whatever. You're the color person, right? So that's what you're going to see tonight. Because that's my thing. So me being so daring and so bold with my hair has been amazing for my clientele because they've tried a lot of different things. My hair has been a host of colors. I will say my favorite color, I think, is maybe blue, possibly green. My hair has been a very nice olive green. And it's been orange. Orange is my favorite color. And my hair has been orange. Yes, it's the color of creativity, okay? Yes. I love orange. One of my models tonight does have orange hair. I'm just throwing that in there. So you will
What
see
about
that. What, Malakhi?
I was gonna say, what about when you're trying to take out a color like maybe blue and you're trying to go back?
So, because I have had every color, I also know that when you take out certain colors, they stain your hair, right? A big culprit would be red. My hair was actually red before this blue that you see in my hair today. Some of you were on a call with us the other day, and my hair was pink. It was pink and yellow. It was strawberry lemonade. Strawberry lemonade. It was given that sort of vibe. But what happened was I lightened my hair and it stained, of course, and I needed to remove that. What I did in turn though was the healthier option, and I corrected the color. I just canceled the red instead of lightening my hair again so that I wouldn't cause any damage. And here I am with blue. It was either green or blue. Those are the only two options I had, to be honest.
I can just say that you are a genius when it comes down to coloring. You're one of the people that I trust to actually touch my head. So I appreciate you.
I've done his color and his locks, guys, just so you know. That is my word.
I used to color my locks.
I just did this. Thank you.
Well, Kay is the only one that colors my hair. So I feel you on the color thing because Kay is my girl.
You gotta be careful with it.
And I love your hair, Beth. I love it. I love
it's
it.
It's growing out now, like the grays are
everything.
Through. I need to go and
but it looks so good.
But thank you.
So listen, we are getting towards the end. We are at the end, so it's not towards. We're there. So I want to say thank you guys so much. This is everything I imagined and dreamed, but more. It was even more. It went from history. It went from creativity. It went from personal. It gave a journey, and you guys have blessed my soul today. And I am not forcing it. I am telling you the absolute truth. And for everybody on here, I am grateful for you. I feel extremely closer to you from the talking about the hair journey that you guys have. And thank you for sharing your talents and your art and your history with the state of Connecticut and with people outside of our four walls. And I'm asking you guys right now, continue to share those stories, continue to lift people up, and continue to give people compliments as they walk by you. That changes the mood and the atmosphere of our community.
That's right.
All right. And so with that being said, I want to invite everybody out here who's watching this live to our hair show tonight, where we have people featured like Corey Parker and Sean John. That will be at 5:00 on our downtown New Haven Green. And also we have a wonderful concert following that with Don Tallman, Muinsu and the Shakes, and Duran Bernard, who's going to kill the game. I'm excited to see you guys there. I'm going to try to do some funky for my hair for the hair show so I can look the par. And I think it's going to be great. But once again, thank you guys for joining Arts and Ideas. And this has been wonderful. My name is Malakhi Eason, and I'm happy to be here. And I love everybody out there.
Thank you.
See y'all later.
Thank you.
Picture me growing freely, no ceiling.